The meeting took place on a small station that floated in the empty space between the two fleets. Captain Lisa Blackwood led a team of 5 humans. They waited in a round room with a large table in the center. When the door slid open, Vrelta entered with 4 other aliens. Each was from a different species. They moved cautiously, watching the humans with wide eyes. "Welcome," Lisa said. "Thank you for agreeing to talk." Vrelta stepped forward. "We have many questions." "As do we," Lisa replied. "Let's start with the most important one. Why did your people attack ours 700 years ago?" The aliens looked confused. Vrelta said, "Our records say humans attacked first, without warning or reason." Lisa shook her head. "That's not what happened. We tried to communicate. Your ships fired on us." For the next hour, they compared stories. The more they talked, the more clear it became that both sides remembered history differently. "This makes no sense," said one of the council members. "Both sides can't be right." Naomi Winters, the science officer from the Vigilant, had been quiet until now. "Actually, both sides could be wrong." Everyone turned to look at her. "I've been reviewing the original contact records," Naomi explained. "There are gaps in our data too. What if someone interfered with both sides' communications?" Vrelta's eyes widened. "I found the same thing in our records. Messages that seemed to be missing or changed." "A third party," Lisa said slowly. "Someone who wanted humans and the council to fight." Vrelta pulled out a data device and placed it on the table. "These are the oldest records we have of the first contact period. I found something strange." She showed them records of an extinct species called the Traziel. They had been part of the early council, but died out centuries ago. "The Traziel were at every early meeting with humans," Vrelta said. "They served as translators for both sides." Naomi accessed the human records. "They're in our history too. We trusted them to help us communicate." "What if they didn't translate correctly?" Lisa asked. "What if they changed our messages to create conflict?" One of the council members, an old alien with gray skin, nodded slowly. "The Traziel were known for their skill in manipulation. They believed that competition made species stronger. So they set us against each other as some kind of test." Lisa was angry now. "Or to eliminate one or both of us as potential rivals," Vrelta suggested. The room fell silent as everyone considered this possibility. 700 years of fear and hiding, all because of deliberately created misunderstandings. "We retreated," Lisa said finally. "Not from fear, but to prevent unnecessary bloodshed. We didn't know who or what we were facing, so we chose to step back and prepare. And we perpetuated stories about dangerous humans to maintain unity," Vrelta admitted. "The council needed a common threat to bring different species together." Lisa stood up. "None of that matters now. What matters is what we do next." "Can we trust each other after so long?" one of the council members asked. "We have something in common," Lisa said. "We were both manipulated, and I suspect we might need each other in the future." "What do you mean?" Vrelta asked. Lisa nodded to Naomi, who showed them star charts from the edges of human space. "We've detected unusual activity beyond our borders," Naomi explained. "Something is out there, something that doesn't communicate in any language we recognize." Vrelta looked at the data. "We've seen similar patterns at the far edge of council space." "Then perhaps," Lisa said, "humans and the council have a common interest after all." They continued talking late into the night, sharing information and gradually building trust. 700 years of myths began to fade in the light of truth. The human fleet hung in space like a collection of dark stars. Their ships were larger than most council vessels, with smooth lines and no visible weapons. Yet everyone knew they were there, hidden beneath the sleek hulls. On the bridge of the flagship, Admiral Carol Martinez watched the council's response on the main screen. Dozens of alien ships had gathered, forming a defensive line. "They're outnumbered and outgunned," said her second-in-command. "Yet they still stand against us. Courage or foolishness?" Carol replied. Either way, I respect it. Captain Lisa Blackwood stood nearby. Her ship, the Vigilant, had joined the fleet for this mission. Admiral, they're responding to our message. The screen changed to show an alien face. It had purple skin, large eyes, and no visible nose. I am Vrelta, speaking for the Galactic Council, the alien said. Your presence has caused great concern among our people. Carol stepped forward. Our intention is not to frighten, but to introduce ourselves properly after centuries of separation. Many here believe you come to take revenge for past conflicts, Vrelta said. If we wanted revenge, we would not have announced ourselves, Carol replied. We want to talk. As they spoke, Lissa noticed movement on the tactical display. Admiral, a group of council ships is breaking formation. Carol frowned. Vrelta, some of your vessels are moving toward us. Is this part of your response? The alien looked alarmed. No, those must be the Krell ships. Their commander refused to wait for official orders. Before anyone could react, the breakaway alien ships fired on the human fleet. Their weapons flashed across space. Shields holding, reported a crew member. No damage. Carol's face hardened. Return fire. Disable only. Human weapons officers targeted the attacking ships with precision. Beams of blue energy cut through space, striking engines and weapon systems, but avoiding life support areas. In moments, the attacking council ships drifted powerless. No one had died, but the message was clear. The humans could have destroyed them, but chose not to. Vrelta, Carol said, we could have eliminated those ships. Remember that. On the council command ship, Vrelta watched in amazement. The humans had disabled 7 warships in seconds without causing a single death. Their technology is far beyond ours, Counselor Jen said quietly. Yet they showed restraint. Vrelta pointed out. That doesn't match our stories about them. Jen nodded slowly. Perhaps the myths were wrong. Or perhaps they've changed. Vrelta turned back to the communication screen. Admiral Martinez, your point is made. The Council formally requests a meeting to discuss peace. Agreed, Carol said. I suggest a neutral location. 1 small ship from each side. Who will represent humans? Jen asked. Carol turned to Lisa. Captain Blackwood and the Vigilant will serve as our diplomatic vessel. The tension in space remained high as both sides considered their next moves. The human fleet maintained their position, weapons ready but not targeting. The council ships stayed in defensive formation, watching carefully. On the Vigilant, Lisa prepared for the most important mission of her life. We need to show them who we really are, not who they think we are. George Ramirez nodded. 700 years of stories won't be easy to overcome. Stories can be rewritten, Lisa said. That's why we're here. Back on Earth, President Kallman received updates on the situation. No casualties, she told her advisors. That's good. We want them to fear our power but respect our restraint. Across council space, billions of beings watched news reports about the human fleet. Parents who had used human stories to frighten children now wondered if they had been wrong all along. The moment of truth approached. After centuries of separation, humans and the council would finally meet face to face. Everything would depend on what happened next. The main chamber of the Galactic Council erupted in chaos. Representatives from hundreds of species shouted over each other. Some stood on their seats. Others flashed warning colors or released scent signals of alarm. In the center of it all stood the captain of the surviving scout ship. He had just finished showing the video evidence of the human colony and the destruction of his companion vessels. Silence, roared High Counselor Jen. The room gradually quieted. This is a serious situation, but panic helps no one. A reptilian delegate hissed. The myths are real. Humans exist, and they are as dangerous as the stories warned. They destroyed 2 of our ships without warning, said another. Our ships were in their territory. Vrelta pointed out from her new position at Jen's side. They were defending their colony. The reptilian turned on her. You sound like you admire these killers. I seek understanding, Vrelta replied calmly. For centuries, we have told stories about humans being aggressive and dangerous. Perhaps they've been telling similar stories about us. Counselor Jen stepped forward. The committee has appointed Vrelta to lead a special task force to analyze all available information on humans. She will report directly to me. Some delegates objected, but most accepted the decision. As the emergency session continued, Vrelta was taken to a secure room filled with data screens and analysis equipment. You have full access to all records, Drexlath told her, even the classified ones. Vrelta spent the next day reviewing everything the Council had on humans. She studied the original contact reports, ancient battle records, and intercepted signals from the edge of human space. Something didn't make sense. According to the original reports, humans had attacked without provocation. But when she examined the raw data from those encounters, she found gaps. These records have been altered, she told Drexlath when he checked on her progress. Are you sure? He asked. She nodded. Parts of the communication logs are missing. And the attack sequence doesn't match the reported timeline. Before Drexlath could respond, alarms blared throughout the complex. They rushed to the command center where Counselor Jen stood staring at a large screen. Long-range sensors have detected a fleet of ships entering Council space, a technician reported. 50 vessels, unknown design. Humans, Jen whispered. The screen showed black ships moving in perfect formation. They were sleek, powerful, and obviously built for war. Nothing in the Council fleet could match them. They're broadcasting a message, the technician said. A human woman appeared on screen. She wore a uniform with many decorations. I am Admiral Carol Martinez of Earth's United Fleet, she said. After 700 years of isolation, humanity has returned to the stars. We seek no conflict, but we will not hide any longer. The command center was silent. No one had expected humans to announce themselves so boldly. How should we respond? Someone asked. Prepare our defense fleet, ordered a military commander. We must protect Council worlds. Vrelta stepped forward. Wait, they said they seek no conflict. Would you trust the word of a myth made real? The commander snapped. We should at least try to communicate. Vrelta insisted. The original conflict may have been based on misunderstandings. Counselor Jen considered this. Prepare our fleet as a precaution, but open a channel to the human ships. Vrelta will speak for us. As Vrelta prepared her words carefully, news of the human fleet spread across Council space. Terror followed in its wake. Parents held their children close and told them the myths were real. In some systems, military commanders refused to wait for central authorization. They gathered their ships and prepared to attack, despite being outmatched. The galaxy stood on the edge of war, with only the words of a young scholar and the restraint of both sides holding back disaster. Vrelta used her security pass to enter the restricted archives. The room was cold and dimly lit. Most scholars never got permission to come here. She had been lucky, or so she thought. These archives held the oldest records from before the Galactic Council formed. If humans had ever been real, proof would be here. She moved carefully between tall shelves filled with ancient storage devices. Some were so old that special readers had to be built just to access them. Vrelta found the section marked Pre-Council Conflicts and began research. 3 hours later, she found it. A report from a military commander named Grolthik described a battle with dangerous primates who call themselves humans. The report mentioned their adaptability, their strange emotions, and their powerful weapons. Vrelta's hands shook as she downloaded the information. This wasn't just a mention. It was detailed. Humans had been real. They had fought the species that later formed the Council. Find what you were looking for, scholar. A deep voice asked from behind her. Vrelta jumped and turned to see a tall, muscular security officer. His uniform showed he was high-ranking. Officer Drexlath, she said, recognizing him from the library. I have permission to be here. I know. I approved it. Drexlath stepped closer. The question is whether you know what you're really looking for. Vrelta clutched her datapad. I'm researching myths for my thesis. I found proof humans were real. They weren't just real. They still are. Vrelta stared at him. That's impossible. If humans survived, the council would know. Drexlath laughed softly. Some of us do know. Come with me. There are people who want to meet you. He led her through a hidden door and down a long corridor. They entered a room where 5 aliens from different species sat around a table. Vrelta recognized one. Counselor Jen, head of defense. This is the scholar? Jen asked. Drexlath nodded. She found the Grolthic report on her own. Jen turned to Vrelta. What you've discovered is classified at the highest level. The truth about humans has been hidden for centuries. But why? Vrelta asked. Unity, said another counselor. The early council needed a common threat to unite different species. The humans were perfect, powerful, dangerous, and conveniently gone. Gone, but not extinct, Jen added. After the battle Grolthic described, humans disappeared. We believe they retreated to their home system and likely died out. The quarantine was placed as a precaution. Vrelta thought about the sensor array she had seen on the news. The energy signatures from the quarantine sector. Yes, Jen said. For the first time in 700 years, something has left the human quarantine zone. The array detected a ship moving through space just beyond our borders. A human ship, Vrelta whispered. We believe so, which means they didn't die out. They'd been hiding, watching, maybe planning. Jen looked at the others. We need to know what they're capable of now. That's where you come in, Drexlath told Vrelta. You've studied them your whole life, even thinking they were myths. You understand them better than anyone. But my research was based on stories, Vrelta said. Stories with truth at their core, Jen replied. More importantly, you have no preconceptions from the old conflict. You're valuable to us. A screen on the wall lit up with an alarm. Everyone turned to look at it. Our scouts have found something, one of the counselors said. The screen showed 3 small council ships approaching a planet that shouldn't have been inhabited. But it was. Lights covered its night side. Structures were visible on the day side. A human colony, Jen whispered, outside their quarantine zone. As they watched, ships rose from the planet's surface. They were sleek and black, twice the size of the council scouts. They've spotted our ships, Drexlath said. Vrelta couldn't look away as the human ships moved to intercept the scouts. A moment later, 2 of the council ships vanished in bright flashes of light. The third turned and fled. Vrelta used her security pass to enter the restricted archives. The room was cold and dimly lit. Most scholars never got permission to come here. She had been lucky, or so she thought. These archives held the oldest records from before the Galactic Council formed. If humans had ever been real, proof would be here. She moved carefully between tall shelves filled with ancient storage devices. Some were so old that special readers had to be built just to access them. Vrelta found the section marked Pre-Council Conflicts and began her search. 3 hours later, she found it. A report from a military commander named Grolthic described a battle with dangerous primates who call themselves humans. The report mentioned their adaptability, their strange emotions, and their powerful weapons. Vrelta's hand shook as she downloaded the information. This wasn't just a mention, it was detailed. Humans had been real. They had fought the species that later formed the council. Find what you were looking for, scholar, a deep voice asked from behind her. Vrelta jumped and turned to see a tall, muscular security officer. His uniform showed he was high-ranking. Officer Drexlath, she said, recognizing him from the library. I have permission to be here. I know. I approved it. Drexlath stepped closer. The question is whether you know what you're really looking for. Vrelta clutched her datapad. I'm researching myths for my thesis. I found proof humans were real. They weren't just real. They still are. Vrelta stared at him. That's impossible. If humans survived, the council would know. Drexlaff laughed softly. Some of us do know. Come with me. There are people who want to meet you. He led her through a hidden door and down a long corridor. They entered a room where 5 aliens from different species sat around a table. Vrelta recognized one. Counselor Jen, head of defense. This is the scholar? Jen asked. Drexlaff nodded. She found the Grolthic report on her own. Jen turned to Vrelta. What you've discovered is classified at the highest level. The truth about humans has been hidden for centuries. But why? Vrelta asked. Unity, said another counselor. The early council needed a common threat to unite different species. The humans were perfect, powerful, dangerous, and conveniently gone. Gone, but not extinct, Jen added. After the battle Grolthic described, humans disappeared. We believe they retreated to their home system and likely died out. The quarantine was placed as a precaution. Vrelta thought about the sensor array she had seen on the news. The energy signatures from the quarantine sector. Yes, Jen said. For the first time in 700 years, something has left the human quarantine zone. The array detected a ship moving through space just beyond our borders. A human ship, Vrelta whispered. We believe so, which means they didn't die out. They've been hiding, watching, maybe planning. Jen looked at the others. We need to know what they're capable of now. That's where you come in, Drexlaff told Vrelta. You've studied them your whole life, even thinking they were myths. You understand them better than anyone. But my research was based on stories, Vrelta said. Stories with truth at their core, Jen replied. More importantly, you have no preconceptions from the old conflict. You're valuable to us. A screen on the wall lit up with an alarm. Everyone turned to look at it. Our scouts have found something, one of the counselors said. The screen showed 3 small council ships approaching a planet that shouldn't have been inhabited. But it was. Lights covered its night side. Structures were visible on the day side. A human colony, Jen whispered, outside their quarantine zone. As they watched, ships rose from the planet's surface. They were sleek and black, twice the size of the council scouts. They've spotted our ships, Drexlaff said. Vrelta couldn't look away as the human ships moved to intercept the scouts. A moment later, 2 of the council ships vanished in bright flashes of light. The third turned and fled. Lisa Blackwood stood on the bridge of the U.S. Vigilant, her eyes fixed on the main screen. The stars looked different here, at the edge of explored space. For 700 years, humanity had stayed hidden in their small corner of the galaxy. Today, that might change. Captain, I'm picking up unusual transmissions, said George Ramirez from his communication station. His fingers moved quickly over the controls. It's not one of ours. Lisa walked to his station. Can you clean it up? Working on it, Captain. Ramirez adjusted several settings. There's a pattern, but I can't make sense of it. Definitely artificial, though. Science Officer Naomi Winters joined them, her face serious. Captain, based on these readings, we may have just encountered an alien civilization. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew this might happen when they started exploring beyond their borders, but facing the reality was different. Humans had met aliens once before, centuries ago. It had not gone well. Record everything, Lisa ordered, and maintain our stealth systems. Lieutenant Kevin Hayes looked up from his scanner. Captain, I've been analyzing their communication patterns. They seem to use a standard structure. Some of it matches fragments in our historical archives. From the first contact period, Lisa asked. Hayes nodded. Yes, ma'am. I think these might be the same aliens our ancestors encountered. Lisa returned to her command chair. The first contact had been brief and violent. Humanity, just beginning to explore space, had met a coalition of alien species. Misunderstandings led to conflict. Outgunned and facing extinction, Humans had made a strategic retreat to Earth, faking their own destruction. For 7 centuries, they rebuilt. They developed better technology, established hidden colonies, and prepared for the day they might face the stars again. "Captain, incoming transmission from Earth Command," Ramirez announced. Admiral Frank Norton's face appeared on screen. His gray hair and lined face showed his 60 years of service. "Captain Blackwood, report on your findings," he said. "Sir, we've detected what appears to be an advanced civilization just beyond the buffer zone. Lieutenant Hayes believes they match records from first contact." Norton's expression grew grim. "Listen carefully, Captain. You are to observe only. Do not make contact. Earth's united government needs time to prepare if these are indeed the aliens from our past." "Yes, sir. What about the colony on New Hope? They're closest to this civilization's apparent border. We're sending alerts now. Their defense fleet is being activated as a precaution." After Norton signed off, Lisa turned to her crew. "All departments on alert status. Hayes, continue analyzing their communications. I want to know who they are." Hayes worked through the night, comparing the alien transmissions to historical records. By morning, he had an answer. "Captain," he said, his voice tired but excited. "They call themselves the Council. Their language patterns match what our ancestors encountered before the retreat." Lisa walked to the viewport. Somewhere out there was a civilization that thought humanity was extinct, or maybe they believed humans had never existed at all. Either way, they were wrong. "Maintain observation," she ordered, "but plot a course that will take us closer to their sensor range. It's time we learned more about our neighbors." As the Vigilant moved silently forward, 3 small council ships appeared on their long-range scanners. The alien vessels were heading toward human space, directly on course for the colony at New Hope. "Should we warn the colony?" asked Ramirez. Lisa watched the alien ship's trajectory. "No need to break communication silence yet. New Hope has good defenses and protocols in place." She didn't add what everyone was thinking. After 700 years of hiding, humanity was about to be discovered. The question was, what would happen then? Vrelta walked slowly through the great library of the Galactic Council. Her 6 slender fingers traced the spines of ancient data crystals on the shelves. The young Zaxian scholar had spent many cycles here, searching for information that most of her people said did not exist. "Humans," she whispered to herself. The word felt strange on her tongue. For centuries, stories about humans had passed from one alien species to another across the vast territories of the Council. Parents told their children about dangerous, unpredictable bipeds from a distant world called Earth. These humans were said to be highly adaptable, quick to anger, and capable of surviving in almost any environment. Some tales painted them as monsters, while others described them as clever tricksters. But no one had ever proven they existed. Vrelta pulled a crystal from the shelf and inserted it into her reader. She was working on a thesis about cross-species cultural contamination, focusing on the human myths as her primary example. Her theory suggested that fictional species often appeared in multiple cultures due to shared fears rather than actual contact. The screen lit up with text from an ancient trade agreement between the Morax and Bentheri species, neither of which existed anymore. A small note at the bottom caught her eye. "Avoid Sector 7G due to primate species conflict." Vrelta's heart beat faster. This was the 3rd reference to primates she had found in pre-council records. Could these be the humans of legend? Still wasting time on children's stories, young scholar. She turned to see Elder Cross, her mentor, standing behind her. His blue scales had faded with age, and his eyes looked tired. "These are historical records, Elder, not stories," Vrelta said. "I found another reference to primates in the restricted section." Cross sighed. "The Council spans over 5,000 star systems, Vrelta. We have mapped and catalogued every inhabited world. No humans have ever been found. They are simply tales to scare younglings into proper behavior. But what if they were real once? What if they died out or went into hiding? The elder shook his head. Focus on provable facts. Your graduation depends on producing serious work, not chasing fantasies. After Cross left, Vrelta continued her search. She knew most believed as he did. Humans were used as examples of everything a civilized species should not be. Aggressive, territorial, and dangerously unpredictable. The stories claimed they could survive incredible injuries, adapt to almost any planet, and build weapons of terrible power. Surely such creatures could not exist without the Council knowing. As night fell over the capital world, Vrelta packed her research materials. Tomorrow she would access the oldest archives from the time before the Council formed. There might be more evidence there. On her way out, she passed the news screen in the library foyer. A report showed scientists examining a long-dormant sensor array at the edge of Council space. The array had suddenly activated after centuries of silence. Officials report unusual energy signatures detected in the quarantine sectors, said the announcer. Experts believe it may be nothing more than a dying star or equipment malfunction. Vrelta stopped. The quarantine sectors. Sector 7G was part of that region of space, the same area mentioned in her research. She changed direction and headed for the transportation hub. Her apartment could wait. She needed to speak with Professor Jawls in the astronomy department right away. As Vrelta hurried through the beautiful crystal streets of the capital, she did not notice the security officer watching her. Nor did she see him touch his communication device and whisper, "She's making connections," informed the committee. Far away, beyond the sensor array, a sleek ship moved silently through the darkness. On its side, nearly invisible against the black hull, was the outline of a planet with the words "Jus Vigilant" beneath it. Inside, humans prepared to make history.